Hello, my friends. It is time for another Empties video here on my channel. You guys know that I typically like to try to break this up into a series that I do twice a month here on my channel because sometimes when I go through a lot of candles, that can make for a very long video at the end of the month. So I try to break it up if I can. Now, over the last few months, I didn't exactly stick with the 2 a month, but we've gotten back on the rails here. And today, I believe I have 10 candles to share with you guys. I've finished burning another 10 candles since I last shared an empties video with you guys, which I think was a little over 2 weeks ago now. So pretty proud of the progress I have made. And truthfully, you guys, I've got a hodgepodge of fragrances here. I've got some fall candles. I've got a couple of Halloween candles. I've got one candle that I think I was looking in my notes and I'm like, I think I purchased this maybe in like May. I don't know. And then I actually even have a Christmas candle already that I have finished up. So if you like this video, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing if you are new. As always, all of the candles that I am talking about today, I will have listed in the description box with timestamps. And if I have any available affiliate discount codes, you can find those down there as well. But let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these fragrances that I have finished burning up. So why don't we go ahead and start out with a Sniff candle. I actually talked about this one last week. I did a dedicated review on it. This is the fragrance Sniff Heal the Way. And of course, I forgot to bring my little handy dandy notebook over here that gives me all of the fragrance notes. But like I said, I did do a dedicated review on this candle. Now this is one of Sniff's 8.5 ounce vessels. It does have 2 wicks. This is a soy wax blend candle. And I did mention in my review of this fragrance that the reason why I was intrigued by this candle is because this is actually my most complimented perfume that I own in my personal fragrance collection. And so when I saw that it was available in a candle, I thought, let's go ahead and try it out. Good performance on this one, you guys. It did, finish burning all the way down here. Got a little tiny bit of wax left in this fragrance, or in this candle, I should say. But this was a good, solid performer. It smells very similar to the perfume if you have tried it. The perfume, this fragrance has got like Palo Santo, Pistachio, Davana, Orchinox. I'm trying to think. There's a vanilla note in here. It's just a very unique fragrance. It's sweet, but it's also kind of like resinous. You get some of that Palo Santo in here. Again, one of my most complimented perfumes. Will I repurchase this? No, I don't think so. Just because I've actually come to the conclusion that I don't think that I like personal fragrances as much in candle format. And it's also vice versa. Fragrances that I like in home fragrance, I don't always like on my body. But I'm glad that I purchased it. The performance was actually pretty good. These candles are a little bit spendy. This is $46, again, for 8.5 ounces. But the performance was actually pretty decent on it. I found greater strength and throw if I put this in a hurricane. Like if this in a hurricane, this little candle was about an 8 in terms of strength and throw. Without it, I would give it about 6.5. Performed quite decently in closed concept. So if you have a closed concept space that you burn candles in, this is like a good bedroom candle, I would feel like. But if you have like an apartment, with lower ceilings or whatnot, even in this 2 wick, it should be fine in your living spaces. Not going to be a repurchase for me, but it was a good performer for me for it being the first time I burned a Sniff candle. Let's see. I have some Cringle Halloween candles that I finished burning, you guys. I finished burning Haunted Hallows. Fragrance notes on Haunted Hallows are wood smoke, fir, herbal, apple, patchouli, and musk. And I know that this was a tremendous hit when Kringle released this as part 1. Initially, they released this in 2024. They did bring it back this year in 2025. I don't believe that this is still available on the website. I do know that they restocked it, but I think it sold out again. This is a very popular fragrance, and I completely understand why. First and foremost, I think that the picture, it kind of reminds me of like Harry Potter or something like that, even though I don't even watch the Harry Potter movies, but something about it just gives those vibes. Kind of got this old like estate in the moonlight with the bats. But this fragrance, this is a nice fragrance. I think a lot of people like this because this almost leans a little bit holiday to my nose. It's a fir tree note. You've got some of that wood smoke. The wood smoke, I think, is what gives it a little bit more of like a Halloween vibe, gives it a little bit like more of like a darker type of vibe to it. But the tree note, you get a little bit of apple, but the apple is not like super fruity, bright apple. It's almost more like a little bit of like fermenting apple to my nose. Really, really nice fragrance. Now, I did not repurchase it this year. If it comes back next year in 2026, I would repurchase it. This year, I was just kind of inundated with fragrances, and I was like, I don't really need to repurchase it right now. I've got enough other candles that I'm trying to burn through. But this is one that I could see that if my candle collection is at a place where I'm comfortable with it being, when, you know, the Halloween candles release. When do they release? Usually late July, early August. I could see myself repurchasing this fragrance again. I think that this is one that Kringle should probably keep like as an annual Halloween staple, because I think that it's very, very popular. Yeah, it's a great fragrance. And again, it doesn't really like scream traditional Halloween. This is one that you can burn, I would say, throughout the month of November. Even I've seen some people say, like, I just turn it around and burn it at Christmas time. I really, really enjoy it. It doesn't scream Christmas to me, but it is a good, I feel like, fall to holiday transitional scent. The only thing I would say, strength and throw on this one. Last year when I bought it, it started out pretty strong for me. But this year when I was burning it, I would say strength and throw was only about a 6 on it. I wanted it to be a little bit stronger. And so therefore I just burned it in the closed concept bedrooms. It accompanied, I think I burned that one with the apple rum cake. That was the fragrance that I burned it a lot with. If you have any apple scents, it burns nicely with those. But I could also see that burning nicely with like a fragrance like, say, Snow-Capped Fraser. If you want to transition it more towards holiday. If it's in your collection, that's a good pairing that I would suggest. Another fragrance from the 2024 Halloween lineup over at Kringle. This was my backup of Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin. I actually had initially purchased this and burned through one of them, and then I bought another one off of one of my subscribers, Riley. She was not too impressed with this fragrance. It was a little too cloying for her, and so I purchased it off of her. It is the fragrance, Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin. We have fragrance notes of black cinnamon, cassia, clove, sweet cream accord, white pumpkin, nutmeg, vanilla, musk, tonka, and black sugar. This is like this is a very sweet, creamy, almost white pumpkin type of fragrance to my nose. I really enjoyed it. This one, you know, it burned quite a ways down here. It did have kind of long wicks on it, and I did find that this one burned pretty hot for me, so I kind of had to keep an eye on it, because I do, you know, one of the things with these, this is one of the ombre jars. This was from the ombre jar collection that they did in part 2 of their 2024 launch. But these ombre jars, or these black jars, one of the things that I will say is you can't always tell if these fragrances are sooting that much. But strength and throw on this one was decent. I would give it about a 7 in terms of strength and throw. Really enjoyed the fragrance. The packaging, just so cute. You guys know I am a crazy cat lady at my core. I love cats. In fact, I'm sitting here and my little orange ginger over here, Ruby, she never makes an appearance. Well, sometimes she does, depending on the angle of the camera. Sometimes you've seen her come along here. But I have a 13-year-old female ginger, which I know are very rare, cat, and her name is Ruby. We've had her since she was a kitten. And I don't know, she's just quietly loafing over there right now. We call her Pumpkin Loaf in the fall months, but she's our girl over there. But I've had several cats throughout my life, and I did have a black cat. I've had a couple of black cats in my life, and so I just, anything with a cat on it, I'm going to love. Now, I will say that of the pumpkin fragrances that Kringle has released for their Halloween lineups, I would say that I think my favorite one is probably Lil Devil. That's probably been my favorite, like kind of like spiced pumpkin fragrance that they've come out with in recent years. But yeah, finished up that Cute Black Cat on a Pumpkin. Maybe they'll bring that one back around at some point, because I think a lot of people really wanted to get their hands on that. That was one of those fragrances that sold out really, really quickly, like less than 5 minutes, and people were a little bit upset about that. Another fragrance that I do believe is back on the Kringle website, because they did re-release the Boo Crew collection, and last I checked, Most of those were still in stock. I think Bobbing for Apples and Howling at the Moon, they did not restock, and I think those are sold out. But this is the fragrance Boo Hoo. Now, this candle was sent to me in PR by the brand. Fragrance notes here were rich cream, warm cinnamon, fresh peppercorn, black cardamom, zesty ginger, smoky chestnut, amberwood, tonka bean, and velvety musk. Now, like I said, this was sent to me in PR initially. This is a nice vanilla. It leans a little bit more like body care vanilla to my nose. Not like a true gourmand vanilla like Caramel Sundays Bakery on Main. That's like a vanilla cupcake. And truthfully, when it comes to a lot of home fragrance, I do like more of a gourmand vanilla. But this to me leaned a little bit more body care. It's a vanilla scent. Paired nicely with a couple of other candles. In fact, I'll share the Kringle candle that I burned this with a lot, which might sound like a strange pairing, but it worked. You get that kind of, there's a creaminess to it, but there's a perfuminess, and I think it might be coming from the chestnut note in here. There's cardamom. I don't know, the velvety musk. I'm wondering if it's the velvety musk in here that's giving it that, because again, it's vanilla, but it doesn't make me think of like foodie vanilla. It's more body care vanilla to my nose. I did not see the need to repurchase it. You guys know that I actually was, I was actually at the Kringle store on August 15th when the Boo Crew initially launched. And I did end up purchasing 2 backups. Like I said, they sent the collection to me in PR, but I did end up purchasing another Lil Devil and another Ghost Stories. Those were the 2 that I loved the most, but I would say that this one came in number 3 for me. Strength and throw on this, in the first pour, I would give this about a 6 in terms of strength and throw. That's where it ended up for me. I burn this predominantly in my daughter's bedroom. I actually see this being a nice pairing though. And if I did repurchase this, here's what I'm going to say. If these go like 50% off, I might contemplate burning another or buying another one, because this pairs really nicely with the Howling at the Moon fragrance, which was also a pretty light fragrance. But I don't know, maybe. This is one that I might give a thought to repurchasing. If it goes 50% off, I might do that. 50 or 75% off, I would probably scoop up another one. But it's not one that I'm clamoring to repurchase. I did enjoy pairing it though with this 4-wick of Kittens and Cashmere. Again, kind of a strange pairing once I read off the fragrance notes. Ozone, herbal, green, fir needle, eucalyptus mint, herbal, amber, musk. This fragrance was released in 2024 initially in their fall lineup. But this candle, I've always said, this is like if Bath & Body Works Sweater Weather had a baby with Kringle Candles Winter Woods, you would come up with this Kittens and Cashmere. It's a very fresh, very, very fresh fall type of scent. If you like either one of those fragrances that I mentioned that I feel like it's a combination of, then you would like this. This in the 4-wick was a powerhouse. I would give it about a 9 in terms of strength and throw. I really enjoyed burning this candle, particularly in the evenings after dinner. I do have an air purifier that I purchased off of Amazon earlier this year, and I typically will run that if I have a meal that I've made that has lingering cooking odors, but then I'll burn this one too. And it just really kind of has that same effect as, say, if you're like in the spring or summer months, if you like to burn like lemon or heavy citrus fragrances to kind of just be like palate cleansers, they kind of just freshen up the air. That's what this fragrance does, I feel like, for the fall. So this is a fragrance that I would definitely repurchase again. Probably not right now, but going into the fall next year, I would probably want another one of these. I was surprised at how quickly, honestly, I went through this, but I actually enjoyed burning Boo Hoo in one of my other bedrooms as like a complimentary fragrance. Let's go ahead and switch it up and talk about a Homeworx candle that I finished burning. And this is one, you guys, that I wish I would have gotten my hands on at least 1 or 2 more. This is the fragrance Praline Pecan. I did purchase this, I want to say in early September. Fragrance notes on Praline Pecan are pecan, creamy toffee, whipped vanilla, almond butter. I did do a post-burn review on this. This one was a really nice burn. Now, the only thing I am going to say is that you might see that the wicks still look kind of long and that there's quite a bit of wax in here. The only thing that I'm going to say about this one is that the reason why you don't see this one burned all the way completely down is that it started to take on kind of a burned note on this last burn that I had of it. And I think it's because you can't really detect that right now with this wax pool, but when it is completely pulled out, there's really not as much wax as what you're seeing right here. It's a little bit deceitful looking, but also I will say that this candle burned pretty hot and fast. And so I'm just wondering if the wax has just gotten to the point now where it's so hot that the oils have kind of dissipated. Regardless, you guys, I feel like this is one that Harry needs to bring back every year. Make this available, Harry, all winter long, because this is not just good for the fall. This is a good winter fragrance. If you are somebody who wants to add kind of like a nutty fragrance to any other candles that you're burning, maybe that would be a tree fragrance or you're burning other gourmands. I really enjoyed pairing this with Kringle Candles pumpkin waffles. Gives kind of that vibe of Bath & Body Works pumpkin pecan waffles. Really, really enjoyed that. But yeah, that's oh, it's such a great fragrance. I had really good strength and throw out of this one as well. Now, keep in mind, this had a March 2024 pour date, and we know that Homeworx candles, the longer that they sit, they do tend to get a little bit stronger, but I thoroughly enjoyed this fragrance, would highly recommend it if it comes back. If it does show up on the website again, I do see myself wanting another one because I just really, really enjoyed the fragrance. Another fragrance that I finished burning up from the brand Caramel Sundays. Now this one, I was just looking through, I keep all of like my wish list like handout. What would it be? Handouts, like whatever I write out for every wish list, I print it out every month and I do my video and then I keep them in a folder so that way I can go back and reference the fragrance notes. But the only month that I don't have that for is the month of May. For whatever reason, I don't have that printed out. And I have a feeling that that is probably the month that I purchased this candle. It is the fragrance Pistachio Pancakes. Now you can see it looks a little bit sooty here. However, we all know that only tends to happen usually on my final burn with Caramel Sundays because I'll just kind of like let it burn out. Now, this fragrance, I'm going to tell you guys, this would not be a repurchase for me. I like it, but I think the pistachio note mixed with kind of like a maple note in this one, it was not my absolute favorite. I feel like the pancake note on here is very accurate, very, very accurate, but I don't think I love it mixed with their pistachio note. And you guys know I'm a huge fan of their pistachio fragrance, but yeah, on this one, it was just okay for me. I really liked pairing this with the fragrance Oat Milk and Pistachio. You guys know every time I mention a pistachio fragrance from Caramel Sundays, I'm going to say, please bring back Oat Milk and Pistachio. That is my #1 pistachio scent from Caramel Sundays. #2 would probably be their Pistachio Cranberry scent, which I actually do have in my collection right now. But yeah, really, like this fragrance was a like for me. It wasn't a love. And so therefore I won't repurchase it. Performance was pretty good on it, 7 in terms of strength and throw. And you can see now it's just at the point where there's just barely any wax left. And you can see that, you know, I got a little bit of excess carbon here. I do commonly recommend with Caramel Sundays 2 wicks that you just keep an eye on the wicks. Usually after about the 3-hour burn mark, I do usually extinguish the wicks, trim the wicks, and then if I'm still really enjoying the fragrance, go ahead and relight. But that does help cut down on some of the soot. This is kind of just a byproduct of all vessels that are shaped like this. They are designed to kind of catch soot. And like I said, most of my Caramel Sundays candles, that is not an issue for me until they get to usually the final burn. And that's usually on my end just because I just let them go. All right, another fragrance that I finished burning. I still have one more of these in my collection. This is from, I can't remember if this was part of like their fall reserve lineup last year. I feel like this was released either fall or winter reserve last year. This is the fragrance Smoke and Oak from Kringle Candle. I feel like this is an underrated fragrance. Not a lot of people talk about this one, but if you like boozy, like stereotypical masculine fragrances, do not sleep on this scent. It's really good. Fragrance notes on this one are smoke, wood, bourbon, leather, amber, and fruit. Now, this one, there is something I am going to say. This is smoky, not campfire smoke, but it is kind of like somebody smoking pipe tobacco. That's the smoky that I get in this one. This literally just reminds me of like a very sophisticated man sitting in his mahogany wood library in a smoking jacket, smoking a pipe, and he's got a glass of bourbon with him. Like that's what this smells like to me. Very, there is something like, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. There is something that's just very like, like if a man that smells like this, I would be like, hey, like, I wish this was a cologne for my husband, to be honest with you guys. Now, that being said, if you don't like boozy fragrances, if you don't like smoky fragrances, stay away from this one. But it's kind of woody. It's smoky, but again, like pipe tobacco, leather. That's the other component I would say. Like this man, not only does he have his pipe tobacco and his smoking jacket, and he's in his wooded library, he's also sitting in a leather chair. Like it encompasses all of that in this. Again, I do have another one of these. I do want this fragrance to be a little bit stronger. I would say it's about a 6.5, 7 in terms of strength and throw. I really enjoy burning this with the Skull and Sonnet from the Halloween 2024 Part 1 lineup. I feel like they complement each other really well. This also pairs nicely with the Ghost Stories from Halloween Boo Crew this year. Trying to think what else. Warm and toasty, it can go with, but sometimes not. But yeah, I still have another one of these in my collection. And this is a nice fragrance, I feel like, if you just kind of want like a nice bedroom fragrance year round, this is a good scent to go with. All right, another Homeworx candle that I finished burning up. They did send this fragrance to me in PR. This is the fragrance Harvest Donut, but it is in one of the 3-wick hobnail vessels. I think that this is still on the website. Fragrance notes of fresh pumpkin, donut accord, ginger, and clove. This one also has a May 2024 pour date. Okay, so here's the thing, you guys. I don't typically love purchasing the 3-wicks from Homeworx just because with the exception of the most recent Orchard Treats like QVC Big Deal, these typically do not perform the best in my open concept. They do okay in the closed concept, and that's typically where I burned this fragrance. I liked this scent. It's not like one that I need over and over. I would say still my favorite donut scent from Homeworx is their hot cider donut. This has elements of hot cider donut. I feel like they're like distant cousins. It's still kind of that fried dough accord that Homeworx is known for. But you get a little bit of, I get a little bit more ginger in this one. It's not still like a gingerbread or anything like that, but it's got a little bit more zestiness to it. But I liked it. I burned it in my daughter's bedroom most of the time alongside Caramel Sundays Fall Cider. I found that, which is a dupe for Bath & Body Works Cider Lane. That's kind of how I enjoyed the pairing the most. But would I spend $25 on this? No. If it goes on a really deep discount, then yes. If you really like the hobnails, if you like to burn your Homeworx candles in more closed concept spaces, then I think that it did well. But this for me, you guys, I would say it's about a 6 in terms of strength and throw. Wasn't a powerhouse, but a good fragrance. And then the last candle, let's see. Yeah, I talked about the rest of them. The last candle that I wanted to talk about here is actually a holiday fragrance that was sent to me in PR from Kringle Candle. I've already finished burning this 2-wick. It is the fragrance Cinnamon Apple Wreath. We have fragrance notes here of baked red apple, cinnamon stick, sparkling mandarin, clove bud, mulled cranberry, sugared berries, warm woods, vanilla bean, golden amber. This was another fragrance that paired really nicely with that Haunted Hallows, if you happen to have both in your collection. But yeah, I already finished burning this one, and I have mentioned this not only in my dedicated review, but in other videos that I've touched on this. If you are looking at the label, if you are looking at the title, it's deceptive. This is not, there are no green notes. I don't even detect a ton of apple in this scent. This to me is a nice, cozy, creamy, gourmand type of fragrance. It's in the same vein if you like Bath & Body Works Cuddle Weather. Cozy Sunday Night is a little bit more cinnamon heavy to me. But this is like soft spices. You get a little bit of cinnamon in there. Yeah, it says cinnamon stick. It's not overly red hot. I do smell clove bud in there. Any kind of berried note in here, an apple, it's just lending a little bit of sweetness in here. The fruit notes in here lend a little bit of sweetness, but this is kind of just like a creamy, softly spiced gourmand fragrance, kind of like a vanilla cream with some soft spices in it. That's what this is to me. It's a very versatile fragrance. I can burn this with a lot of candles currently in my collection, which is why I was able to go through it so quickly. This is not a distinct Christmas scent to me. This is definitely a good, if you're somebody who likes to burn gourmands year round, you're going to like this one, especially if you like the ones that have a little bit of spice to them. This just pairs beautifully with a lot of other candles currently in my collection. Now, I did mention that I purchased this in a 4-wick to see if it would give a little bit more oomph. The 2-wick performed okay in closed concepts, but I wanted something with a little bit more strength and throw. I would give this one probably about a 6. Again, wanted it to be more. I did purchase it in the 4-wick, and I'm very happy to say that in the 4-wick, it is stronger for me. I burned it the other day in my bedroom, and I was like, oh, this is a lot stronger than I remember the 2-wick being in my bedroom. So I'm excited about that. I can burn it out here in the open concept. I would give the 4-wick probably, just based off of the other day, that was my first burn. It was about a 7.5, 8 on that first burn. So much improved. So if you pick this one up in a daylight or wax melt and you really like the fragrance, I would recommend going ahead and going with the 4-wick on this one. But really, really, really good one. And again, it's very versatile. I could see this going with tree fragrances. It goes with gourmands. It goes with it goes with a lot of things, and it's just a nice cozy vibe type of candle. So that is it so far for the candles that I have finished burning throughout the first half of October. I've got quite a few other candles that I know I will have ready to go by the end of this month. A couple of them, I'm in that last like third to a quarter, and I definitely see myself being done with a bunch of those. Truthfully, you guys, I feel like by the end of the month of October, I'm going to prioritize trying to finish burning up a lot of my traditional fall fragrances as we head into the end of this month, going into November. I'm actually going to start burning some holiday fragrances, maybe some that are a little bit more cranberry heavy. So yeah, it'll be a good thing. So let me know in the comment section down below if any of these are fragrances that you have finished burning up. I'd be curious to hear what your burn experience is with them. Again, please hit thumbs up if you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it. Let's see, consider subscribing if you are new. I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.